All right, got a little long-winded on that last one, talking about security and SEO going into security stuff. So this is the actual last one, number 9, on e-commerce. All right, e-commerce is a huge sort of thing. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview on what I know about this stuff. So there are 3 sort of options. You can go for like a third-party e-commerce, or you could go for WooCommerce, or there are other e-commerce solutions that are built into WordPress, and I kid you not, one of them is called WP e-commerce by Tips and Tricks. That is actually legit. You would not think it would be looking at it, but they do a ton of really good stuff. So I'm going to go over those 3 options to kind of guide you through what is easily available. All right, so the first one is, of course, not to have e-commerce on your site and go through something like drivethrurpg.com and have them, sell all your stuff. That takes a lot of hassle out of your hands, but you are, stuck into sort of how they deal with things and what sort of options they give you. Now, everybody knows drive-through. I don't need to go over that. There are some ways to incorporate it in or to grab feeds off of there. But that is just kind of the, sort of the I don't want to deal with it option. Another way is a thing called Shopify. It is e-commerce off-site. It's one that I have a friend who does a lot of band websites, and a lot of them go through Shopify. All right, there is a monthly cost to Shopify, and it provides credit card processing, all this information, file storage. You can do downloads from it. It is decent. The bad part of Shopify, which is why I do not put a lot of people to it, is Shopify, if it doesn't have the functionality, you have to go to Shopify plugins. So if you want something like, oh, hey, I want to incorporate an easy slider and the theme on Shopify, or the look isn't quite what I want, here's what it is, and here's how much it costs a month. So many of these are per month. I'll cross-sell. If you want to do handpick related items, you have to find an app like this that integrates and does, what you want, and then they generally charge you per month. That can be super expensive, and if you're not doing the volume to make that work, it does not become worth it. So let's focus on the ones that are generally more worth it. All right. When you're talking about e-commerce on WordPress, you are talking about WooCommerce most of the time. For a lot of my clients who have a bit of a budget, I do set up WooCommerce sites for them. WooCommerce is a base free plugin. You can get the very base one here. No, not that one. There we go. You can get the base option of it right here, absolutely for free. And it works decently well. Here's WooCommerce. It has a lot of settings. You can set up plugin products and take money through PayPal and a few other options for free. And it does most of what you want. You can, kind of handle shipping and do stuff. It is a complex sort of system, but it is not super hard to set up. It does take some work, and you do have to set up products, one by one and kind of do the options in them. It does allow for a fair amount of, choosing, figuring out your inventory, shipping weights. You can link products. You can have downloads, so you can automatically do a download file out of here and say, yes, I'm selling X PDF or X image, and when they buy this product, they will do that. All right. I'll show you a fully featured one, and I'll just go back to CocoaPress. CocoaPress has a fully featured WooCommerce shop that I set up for them. That, because of their size, I set it up on CocoaPress KP store. This is a separate WordPress install to handle it, because the data structure of WooCommerce is not great when it scales. All right, so they have 199 products, and they're doing okay, but I have to put them on a VPS because of the size of this. They would not last well on shared hosting. But then I custom created this template and built it to them to kind of work with how the Paizo store looks and acts, because that is, some of their big competitors that works in the same space. Now, when you're going and looking at themes for stuff on Theme Forest, look up WooCommerce as well if you do plan to integrate an actual, WooCommerce store, because you can see how they have. We'll just look at whatever Sober is. You can see how they set up their WooCommerce, and it will say, oh, okay, this is how the stuff will look there, and you can kind of imagine yours, in that vein. But yeah, you want to see kind of how they have their stuff set up and what the options are. But let's go back to here and take a look at this, because with this, a lot of functionality comes from plugins. Doing a print and PDF bundle is not something easy to set up like this without getting the right plugin. So on WooCommerce, I can tell you that is done by a thing called chained bundles. And if we go to plugins or chained products, let's see. All right, chain products is $49 a year. Now, once you buy it and own it, you don't necessarily need to keep paying for the updates after the year, but that is good for security purposes. So it can be a little expensive to get a bunch of this functionality, but I will tell you the kind of workaround, and I will tell you this saying use at your own risk. Most WooCommerce plugins and most WordPress stuff is under the GPL license, which means that if you do have a copy of it, you can use it. They are in no way obligated to support it or update it, but if I do have a copy of the code, I can put that on any site that I have, so long as it is under GPL license. And because WordPress is GPL, they require most of the stuff to be under GPL license. There are a few exceptions to that, but if you have this, it can be utilized that way. So you may be able to grab that code someplace else or find it someplace else and make use of it. But there are a lot of plugins like this that give you what you need, like the ability to, when this gets purchased, it adds the print and the PDF to the cart at the same time. So there's the print, there's the PDF. Those are two separate products that are set up, and then they provide that, and the printing information goes off through their print fulfillment sort of side of things. But that can all be set up here when you set up a product and if you have the right plugins. And as you can see, there are full-featured stores here, with a lot of different options. WooCommerce is the way to go if you really want to control things, have a little bit of a budget to buy some plugins if they work, and really want to set this up right. It is also fairly easy to code extra things to hook into things. There are a lot of options. Monty Cook Games uses it as well. I know we've done auctions through them. We've done Kickstarter fulfillment through them. There's a ton of options you can incorporate in if you're okay to go up in complexity. Core book bundles. They do their e-commerce through a different place, Redbubble, so you can even do a click here to go out to the other store, so you could have a product that's get it on Drive-Thru RPG. This is all built into the theme, a good side, sort of filter that goes through and only shows you different, product lines, different sort of setups. So there is a lot of stuff that can be done with it, and it is generally cheaper than Shopify, but you do have to host it on your server. You do have to keep it there, and this is often where I have had the most issues with size, is on a big e-commerce store and thousands of records. Okay, e-commerce tips and tricks, WP. All right, we'll find this one again. All right, so if you are not quite looking for that level of stuff, this is actually a decent one for about $50, I think it is. WP Ecommerce, or WP eStore, I think is what they're calling it now, is actually fairly decent. it does have a bunch of different options, but they have one of my favorite things, which is a PDF stamper plugin, and which is how I found them. This PDF stamper works wonderfully. So if you want to do drive-through style PDF stamping for documents from your site, that's how it works. And then they have their own eStore plugin that allows you to do the majority of what you need. I have one client who is on this. It works well for their small number of sales. You can do a bunch of different things with it, and it is not horrible to kind of maintain the back end. I don't want to show you the back end of their site because I can't. No, here's a live demo. Because of their security, but this is kind of how it looks. You can add in a bunch of stuff, do variations, display content different ways, do right through PayPal, do subscriptions. It's pretty full featured. It does take a little bit to set up, but it is pretty good for what it is. And it does PDF handling and downloads as well. So those are the three options kind of based on complexity and viability. Shopify or Drive-Thru RPG or something third-party external. WP or eJunkie I think is another one. There are other stores like that often do charging for stuff. WordPress and WooCommerce if you're looking for a full function sort of setup, and this WP store from Tips and Tricks. No joke, it is actually Tips and Tricks, and I promise it is very legitimate. Those are kind of the three options based on budget and size and what you're looking for e-commerce.